ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणि नमोस्तुते। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु महालक्ष्मीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम गणातीतो अक्षरं ब्रह्म भगवान् पुरुषोत्तमः जनो जानन्दिदं सत्यं मुच्यते भवबन्धनात्। ओम श्री स्वामीनारायणाय नमः। ओम श्री लक्ष्मीनारायणाय नमः। ओम श्री नरनारायणाय नमः। ओम श्री परब्रह्मणे नमः। ओम श्री अक्षराय नमः। ओम ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते रुद्राय। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमो हनुमते भयभंजनाय। सुखम कुरु फट स्वाहा। Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 4th of January 2023. We are in the new year and we are contemplating on Vedanta, particularly Shankaracharya Ji's Advaita Vedanta, and how that all connects with many other related concepts. Before we begin, I would like to offer my Anantakoti infinite number of Danvat Pranams to all the great sages in the past, present, and future, to all Mumukshus and Sadhakas also, and to the Supreme One without a second Paramatma residing in the heart of every single being. With that prarthana and request for blessing from all and from God, we are continuing to explore what is Anthakarna. You know, we have been talking about the 9 forms of Devi, we have been talking about the chakras, we have been talking about Vivek Chudamani. Just to be very clear what Anthakarna is, we talked about Ahankar last time. Anthakarna is what generally in Western psychology and philosophy is called mind. You know, so mind is something that grows and develops. And that growth and development can be healthy or it can also not be healthy. Right? So just as the physical body is growing and developing, we know that many children are born and then they have defects and problems, physical health problems people have all throughout the life, all different kinds. Similarly, the mind, which is called Anthakarna, the mind is also that which grows. It is not something that is just, we are just born with the mind and then it doesn't develop further. No. We are born with a brain, but the brain is growing also. So the brain is growing, along with that the mind is growing. So the multiple disciplines in the various sciences give us many views on the function of the mind, how the mind functions. And this is where Vedanta intersects with the sciences that are there today. So when we consider the functions of the mind, let me see if I can put this up here. This ahankar, buddhi, manas, chitta, this division is a beautiful way to understand the functions of the mind, because that's what it is. It is a certain function. The ahankar has a certain function to possess, that this is me. The buddhi has a function to decide, okay, what should I do, what shouldn't I do, let me analyze, let me think over. It has a function. And this is all part of the brain also. And these functions are developed over time. The manas is what? What is its main function? It is to think. It is the thinking ability. But we can also say emotion. Emotion and thinking is part of that. And then the chitta is the whole storehouse of massive memories. So that also has a function. Why is this storehouse there? We know from our life that we have so many memories right from childhood. But we don't have memories of past lives. Sometimes people remember something from past life. Some children remember, and those incidences are there. But we don't know that. So the Anthakarna is a instrument. And it grows and develops in many, many different ways. So for example, the field of neuroscience it informs us, it shows us how the brain's functioning is associated with mental processes such as memory and perception. Our brain functions, it is a physiology. Brain function is called physiology. The physiology of the brain, meaning the function of the neurotransmitters and the synapses inside the brain, is called neurophysiology. So the function of the brain changes radically. It changes profoundly when we start approaching the Atma. Now, how does this happen? And what is the change in the function? The Ahankar begins to function in a very different way. Vedantic masters from ancient times have stated the Ahankar that is limited to the body, to the mind, etc., it now is identified with vastness, the infinite awareness. That I am that infinite awareness. I'm not this small, limited being, meaning the mind is evolved. It is an evolution. The Ahankar actually grows. But be careful when we use this word. It doesn't mean that one becomes more egotistical. It grows out of its limited function. And this is where the brain chemistry changes. The connections between this spinal cord and the brain, they begin to form in a very different way. Those special connections bring the brain and the spinal cord to its maximum capacity. It comes to maximum capacity when the internal limitations of raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes, and the limitations of that we have all talked about, those things disappear. In another language, we can say sadhutana gun, saintliness, openness, patience, dheeraj. Dheeraj means patience. So many ways to describe ekantik dharma. Ekantik dharma that is written in Vachanamrut, it is a change in brain function. 100%. Bhagavad Gita is a change in brain function, change in brain physiology. So neuroscience informs us about the functioning that is associated with mental process. Process is going on. Neuroscience studies how does that process work. So this is a scientific external way to study that process, the brain, etc. The rishis, the gurus of the past, the rishis of the past and today, they are studying, they are students of the nature of this Anthakarna. These are two approaches to study. One is the neuroscientific approach, using brain scans and using different tests and all that. Animal experimentation is also done. But the other approach is to start meditation, dhyan. Bhagwan ke saath jodna. Once we begin to connect with Paramatma, the awareness of what is Anthakarna begins to occur. In Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, he mentioned about this Anthakarna, Man, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankar. He said, Ame Anthakarna ne dekhiye che, ane pakdiye che. In Gujarati he said, I can see the Anthakarna clearly, what it is. That perception comes about when you are in the realization of the Atma. When the Atma is realized, I am, Anthakarna is seen very clearly. Because Anthakarna is also an object of perception of the Atma. So, when we consider what is meant by buddhi, manas, chitta, this becomes very clear to us. And it is growing. It is a growth. Developmental psychology. The area of developmental psychology offers us a view of how children's memories, of how children's minds grow within families across time. ये जो दो बात है ना, बंधन का formation, how the bondages form. But bondages need to form to go beyond the bondage. If there is no formation of the child's mind growing with the sense, this is my mother, this is my father, this is this is that, all that has to be there. If it is not there, then the person will not even be a human being, will be an animal only. हम जो कहते हैं कि माया का बंधन बहुत है, पर माया का बंधन नेसेसरी है. If you don't have माया का बंधन नहीं है, तो माया के बंधन से पर कैसे निकलेंगे? You have to have the bandhan of Maya to go beyond Maya. If there is no bondage of Maya, then you will not even have the body. Gunatitanand Swami mentioned in his Vato कि देह धर्मानु प्रयोजन શું છે કે આત્માનો સાક્ષાત્કાર થયો નહીં. Meaning what? That if you have not realized the Atma, that's why we are born. Otherwise you would not even be born in this world. There will not be any birth also. That's what he has stated. That means as soon as we take birth, the conditioning process, the development of memories, the development of the mind right from childhood occurs within the context of the family. It doesn't happen outside the context of the family. And this is why our rishis in the ancient times gave beautiful sutras. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. ये सब क्या है? It is to bring the respect in the family, that the child is growing, and the first guru is the mother, second guru is the father, third, and so many other gurus come afterwards. Whole life is guru tattva. It is a transition from dependency to Brahmic state. It is a transition. So the developmental areas of developmental psychology, they are showing the development of the child's mind. A lot of research is done on that. Tremendous amount. The area of anthropology gives us all kinds of insights into how relational experiences and communication patterns within different cultures directly shape the development of the mind. It is the shaping of the mind by culture, by tradition. The academic field of anthropology offers this perspective on the Anthakarna, which is the identity of the individual. The field of psychiatry gives us a clinical view of how individuals may suffer from emotional and behavioral disturbances that profoundly alter the course of their life. So this is another area to understand, the whole field of psychiatry. Somebody becomes a psychiatrist by becoming a medical doctor and then eventually gets specialization in psychiatry. It is studying the brain function and is specifically studying from a clinical point of view the emotional and behavioral disturbances. All kinds of problems, depression, anxiety, fears, phobias, it's a massive list. So now you see how these fields intersect. You've got anthropology, we have psychiatry, we have developmental psychology, and we have neuroscience. And these disciplines are not separate from each other. They are together. These disciplines in the modern world that have been developed through modern science and modern psychology and modern neuroscience and anthropology and all, they all connect together within us. It is an awareness of how all of these influences connect together within me that form the psychological me. That is called Jiva. Aham Jivam Granthi Vedras. We have to go very carefully. We have to go very slowly. to understand these things. What is in our scriptures, whether it is the Gita or the Vachanamrut or the Brahma Sutras or whatever they might be, the scriptures are spoken by enlightened beings. They have spoken from the dimension of the Atma. And they are showing how to mold the developed mind, how to purify the developed mind, so that the preparation for Atma Darshan can happen. See, for example, in Vachanamrut, Vartal number 11 Vachanamrut. इसमें क्या लिखा है? सत्पुरुष ने विषय दृढ़ प्रीति एज आत्मदर्शन नु साधन. What does it mean? Deep love for great saints. Why deep love? When we have deep love for great saints, we have love for their saintliness, for their purity, for their development, for their enlightenment. So the ahankar, buddhi, manas and chitta, all four get infused by divya gun, by divine qualities. It is a science. It is absolutely a science. And it is a synthesis. The emergence of the mind, the development of the mind is based on the conditioning of the family and the society, etc. But the Atma is beyond that. Atma is not conditioned by all of these things. The Atma doesn't have any mother, any father, any friend, any foe. It is consciousness. So the realization of the Atma is possible when we recognize the nature of our own internal world. But to realize that internal world, Bhagwan ki upasana, that is the number one way. Jitna connection Paramatma ke saath hoga, to that extent, in dhyan, in meditation, we see, oh, my mind is going here, my thoughts are going here, this is part of my chitta, etc. And the bondages disappear. In Gujarati, Gunatitanand Swami mentioned, Jo khare kharu gnan thai to maya na pech manave. With one sentence. What a sentence that is. Once you have the real pure Gnan from inside, you see very clearly what is Anthakarna, what is the causal body, what is Vishaya Vasana, you see conditioning, and you say that is not me at all. That is called Karek Karu Gnan. Who am I? Know thyself. And who is God? But Bhagwan kaun hai? Bhagwan kya hai? When we realize this, or jo Sant ki sthiti kya hai? When we realize this, it is a realization. So the holding of Maya, meaning what? The Maya that is engulfing, Maya na pech. Pech means what? It's like you're just, it's held inside Maya. It will not happen like that at all then. You'll be released. It is a release. It is a release from the clutches of conditioning, as per J. Krishnamurti. It is a release from the clutches of aham mamatva. It is a release from the clutches of raga and dvesha. Totally it is a release. It is an actual release. And that release is such, there is no burden left on the mind. Mind is very open, very pure, very clear, like a flower, like a childlike mind, childlike simplicity. Very innocent, very beautiful, very open, very, very beautifully connected with others. It is a mind that is filled with the fragrance of love. That love is divine love, divya prem. This is what we want in our life. If we don't have this in our life, people die one day just like that and reborn again. No, we can live, we can develop the mind this way. We can develop the mind further through satsang, through adhyatmic contemplation, and develop it so that our internal energy structure that is inside the mind is very, very steady and remains intact. We have so many joys and sorrows. That's because we are not in a balanced state where these joys and sorrows are the expression of the outcome of the function of our brains. Mind is what the brain does. This is one way to think about it. How many people have ever thought that if you go into a temple or sit for meditation or do some good adhyatmic sadhana, you are healing your brain, you're developing your brain? Do we think that way? No. But that time is coming when we begin to understand that spiritual practices, adhyatmic sadhana, it is a way to fix the damage of the mind, which is very severely damaged in this world. And then that is what's causing health problems and other things. We become very in tune with our emotional world and our thinking world. Oh, this is my emotional world. This is my cognitive world. Because we live in that world as jiva. But we recognize that, yes, that world is there, but I am not that world at all. I may be in that for some time, for some purpose, but that's not me. And the role that I'm playing in the world of the mind, in the world of the thoughts and feelings and dream states and with the role we are playing, it is just a role. The Atma is completely separate from all this. Totally. The Atma Tattva is a witnessing consciousness. So it is through its own power. Through its own power, it is experiencing this world, and in fact that is called subjective experience. It is called qualia in philosophy. That subjective experience is what Vedanta is asking us to see clearly. Oh, okay. Somebody said something to me. What is going on inside? I become curious. How can I stabilize the reaction? What's happening inside? Am I taking it so intensely personally? What is the impact on the mind by the external interaction? That awareness is a meditative awareness, which is what we call choiceless awareness. And that choiceless awareness is one aspect of the Atma Darshan. In Vachanamrut, there's a discussion between Brahmanand Swami and Sajanand Swami about Atma Darshan. And Maharaj has explained there that as you progress towards the Atma, you get glimpses of the Atma. There are glimpses of the Atma, and then that will eventually lead to Samyak Atma Darshan. Samyak Atma Darshan means the full Atma is realized. Oh, I am this divinity. I am the Brahman. So choiceless awareness of subjective experience, which is our first person direct experience, allows us to open the doorway through satsang and bhajan, bhakti, etc. into the Atma. It is a doorway that opens into the Atma Darshan. And the very evolved saints and sages throughout the world, wherever they may be, they have done this. And their life is brimming with spirituality. उनके दर्शन से ही हमारा मन शांत हो जाता है. उनके दर्शन से we want to just bow down to their feet. इतनी स्थिति है, इसको स्थिति कहते हैं. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. It's a very big thing. Very, very, very big thing. Most humanity is stuck in the layer of the Anthakarna and is completely engulfed inside the Ajnana. What is the Ajnan? That this Anthakarna is me. No. Anthakarna is not you. Anthakarna, yes, it must be healthy. It should be healthy. Absolutely. The brain, the Anthakarna, the body, all have to be healthy. But when we begin to inquire that I want to be out of disturbance, we recognize disturbance, it is called vikshep. I don't want any disturbance in my life. How many people say that? They say all the time, I want happiness, I want joy, I want freedom. Everybody wants freedom. Even a drug addict, a gambling addict, a sex addict, or a thief, or a criminal, they are looking only for one thing, that is mukti and freedom. They're looking in a direction that is binding them. They're looking for the right thing in the wrong place, using a wrong method. Every Jivatma is wanting only one thing, that is akhanda ananda, continuous joy. But to reach that continuous joy, when we have a human body, we have a very special opportunity to utilize the Anthakarna and maximize its power. Maximize its power through bhajan, kirtan, manan, chintan, जिसको हम अखंड सत्संग कहते हैं. अखंड वृत्ति, भगवान के स्वरूप में अखंड वृत्ति, अखंड मनन चिंतन. ये वचनामृत का स्टार्टिंग में ही this is written, Karada Pratham 1. And when we are evolving that way, that is the real highest possibility of the Anthakarna. That this is a possibility to evolve the Anthakarna into the dimension that is the Atma. And within the Atma, Bhagwan Paramatma resides as Antaryamin. ऐसी अद्भुत बात है. This is, now, is it possible to actually do this? Yes, definitely. It has to do with recognizing in the moment where the mind is going. Where is my mind going? What is happening inside of me? Where is my attachment? Where is my detachment? What kind of polarity, dvanda, is going on in the mind? Satsanga and this spiritual development is internal. The external, whether there are big programs going on outside, temples outside, rituals outside, scriptures outside, gurus outside, everything that is outside is meant for the internal development, for the inner journey into the Atma. If we forget the inner journey, it all becomes externalized. And that is okay. That brings about sanskar. It brings about a certain impression in the mind. But we have not taken it further. And then there's every chance of getting caught up in competition and all that. It's a pettiness. Religious competition. Sounds ridiculous to say such a thing. One temple versus another, one group versus another, one religion versus another. ये सब क्या है? ये सब अज्ञान है. There's nothing to do with spirituality at all. Spirituality begins when we recognize the interconnection of all, take good things from all, respect differences, and discover the doorway into the Atma. And if we don't do that, it is just another worldly activity. So to prevent that from happening, the rishis from ancient times have given this proper guidance. Man eva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho. Amrut Bindu Upanishad. Amrut Bindu Upanishad, we looked at it before. Mind is the cause of bondage. Mind is the cause of liberation. But what is bondage and where is my bondage? Sachin has to see where is Sachin's bondage. Nobody else can see that. Yes, maybe enlightened great saints, they have some power. They can see where you are in your path. That's true. It is my responsibility to see where this mind is bound and limited and destroying its own power and getting caught up inside its own vortex. See, we talked about the development of the mind within the family. Developmental psychology looks at that very clearly. But the Atma doesn't have any family. The Atma has gone through, as the Jiva, thousands and thousands and thousands of mothers and fathers. Not to mention all the other species. If we look at the words of enlightened beings, भगवद गीता में क्या लिखा है, रामकृष्ण परमहंस ने क्या लिखा है, सजानंद स्वामी महाराज ने क्या लिखा है, बड़े बड़े संतों ने क्या लिखा है, have they just written these things out of some imagination? No. They have written out of their realization, not imagination. People who are writing out of imagination, that is poetry and that is just a fictional writing. Okay, that's a different matter. But realization, अनुभव वाणी, वो बहुत अलग बात है. And when they are saying that the Atma Tattva, Jiva Tattva, the Jiva in the form of Jiva has gone through millions of life and death cycle, Garada Pratham number 7, Jivanu Anvay Swarup, has gone through birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. How many times? Nobody knows. Infinite number. Anadi. Anadi Karti Jiv Maya ni andar fase ho. Any andar is inside from beginningless time. But we have an opportunity to awaken completely into the Vetirek Swarup. Vetirek means what? I am the consciousness, Atma Satta Rup. I am free from the entanglements of the Anthakarna. And so one doesn't destroy the Anthakarna. One uses the Anthakarna through the freedom of the Atma. That utilization of Anthakarna means what? When we speak with others, we speak without bondage. When we listen to anything on the outside, we listen with the freedom that is the Atma. There is no sense, there is no karma created in Atmic consciousness. In Vachanamrut, the way this is written by Maharaj, beautiful language, इतना अलौकिक शास्त्र है वो, अनंत कोटि. हम मेरे मन में बहुत आता है कि इसका वचनामृत जो है तो मेरा हार्ट का एक पार्ट है. इट्स लाइक इसका अनंत कोटि दंडवत करेंगे तो भी कम है. इतना शब्द, इसमें इतनी अलौकिक बात लिखी है, and so clear and so practical. Maharaj has used the word Atma Satta Rupe Vartvu. What a sentence that is. That is a solution to every human problem, that one sentence only. That you start living as that you are living with the consciousness that you are the Atman, different from the three bodies and all the reactions therefore in every situation you are an unbounded liberated mukta. And in doing so, there is no destruction, no damage to the Anthakarna, there is no damage to energy, there is blessing for everybody, but there is a constant freedom in the Swarup of Paramatma. ऐसी बात है. Is it possible to evolve into that? Yes. This is what I have said this before. You can go through anthropology and developmental psychology and neuroscience and psychiatry and many other related fields where they have stopped. This is where Advaita Vedanta begins. Where Advaita Vedanta has stopped is where Ramanujacharya begins. Where Ramanujacharya has stopped is where Bhagwan Swaminarayan begins. ये सब लिंक है इसकी. इसका किसी के साथ राग द्वेष अहम ममत्व कुछ नहीं है इसमें. It is all connected together. Truth is only one. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. Satya to ek hi hai. So I'll just close with one more point. There are many facets of the Anthakarna. So there are many descriptions of thought, memory, and emotion in terms of information processing. Information is coming to us all the time. But the processing ability is in the brain. So that processing occurs. Now this is interesting. What does Vedanta say about this information processing that occurs? Vedanta is teaching us, yes, information needs to be processed. It can be processed in the meditative light of reflection. What does that mean? Let's use a very simple example. I see something outside. Let's say I see a car, a very expensive, very nice, Mercedes or whatever. I don't know the names actually. I'll just say Mercedes. High top $80,000, $90,000 car. I see that somewhere, brand new. What is happening when I see that? The information comes inside, but my mind is processing. Oh, wow. When can I buy such a car? That'd be nice to have such a car. And then other thoughts come. Who has such a car? I mean, my friend has such a car, but I don't. I need to earn another $30,000. Then I can buy that. It goes on and on and on. This is called information processing. And that information processing is done through the influence of the causal body that with rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, likes, dislikes, it's done that way in most people. But when information processing is not done that way, it is done through the light of the scriptures, through the light of the Bhagavad Gita, through the light of the Vivek Chudamani, through the light of the great sages' lives. Oh, that information processing becomes divine. It becomes a divine processing. Now you see a Mercedes car, immediately the shlok pops up in the mind. Samaloshtaashma kanchanaha, Bhagavad Gita. Okay. No rag, no dvesh. It has a certain existence in the material world. Sachin's joy is not because of that car. If it is available, no problem. If it is not available, no problem. If I have to sit in the car, beautiful, Ananda is there. If I have to sit in, have to walk to my destination, koi baat nahi. That equanimity becomes available for us when we utilize information processing ability, which is a facet of the mind, through the light of Bhagavad Gita. The words of the Gita, the words of Vivek Chudamani, the words of Vachanamrut, these are not just words on the outside. They need to come inside. Once they come inside, we begin to live our life and perceive the external world and all of our experiences through that divine light of the Shastras and of the Gurus that are all inside of us. And once we do that, once we are in such a state, then we are able to interact with enhanced cognition. We're able to interact with extended interaction. We're able to live in this world where Bhagavan is with us all the time, where the great sages are with us all the time. The Gita is not outside anymore. Vachanamrut is not outside anymore. The forms of God are not outside anymore. They are inside all the time. And through that, one lives, and this is called एकांतिक स्थिति. इसको भागवत धर्म कहते हैं. इसको क्या कहते हैं? इसको ब्राह्मी स्थिति कहते हैं. इसके बहुत अलग अलग शब्द हैं. So we will stop here for today. We have to stop here right now because there's a 8:30